Hi, global teachers. We're going to start about a 4, maybe 5 week workshop on numeracy and number talks. And so each video will be about 15 minutes. It'll show you some tools and some things you can do in your math class to continue reviewing. This will be our first one, but as always, before we get started, let's look at a Bible verse. This is James 3, 9 through 11. James is my favorite book of the Bible, so I enjoy the different verses that are in it. This one says, "With the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring?" Now, all of James 3, if you read it, is about bridling our tongue. He put a whole verse on it knowing that this was something difficult for us. And this verse reminds me that the mouth I use, the tongue, to praise God is the same one I often use or can use to say unkind things, things I shouldn't be saying. And that should not be happening. And this verse reminds me of it. Not only should I not be saying unkind things, I would be saying unkind things to those who God created in his own image and he loves. So I hope this verse encourages you, like it did me, to really ask him for guidance in the things that I say. All right, let's talk about number sense. This is this first objective we will often see on curriculum. So I know we all have heard it, but if we really stop to think about what number sense actually is. So number sense is a person's ability to understand and connect numbers. Number sense shows relationship in numbers. It is a really important foundation for math in our students. Now, number sense starts with those younger students, kindergarten, first grade, second grade students. But because sometimes they miss it, we need to go back and review it. Even if they don't miss it, there's so much there. That's a foundation, and we need to keep reviewing number sense. Because children with a strong number sense can think very flexible and fluent with their numbers. So they're not just memorizing a procedure. They can think about numbers in a variety of ways and make those connections that they need to make with numbers. So once again, why is it important? It is that crucial foundation. If you are pushing your students on further with multiplication, division, fractions, multiplication, and they don't have this foundation of number sense, you're really not going to get very far with them. Number sense improves understanding and it improves their confidence as they are introduced to new math topics. They feel confident because they have an understanding of numbers. Students can manipulate numbers and be flexible with their problem solving. They know multiple ways to figure something out if they have a strong number sense. They begin to see patterns and connections in numbers. We're going to be talking later in these videos about ways to really make those connections between the different procedures and applications we do in math. If a student has poor number sense, it leads them to depend on just the procedures. So they might learn 2-digit times 1-digit multiplication, and they might learn the procedures, but they don't have a strong number sense as to what it is they're actually doing. So how do we teach number sense? So number sense kind of has three parts to it. We start off by teaching number sense with concrete. And that's what you think of with first grade, second grade, the younger years, knowing how to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knowing that the number, the symbol of a 5 matches 5, and then how to count, what the amount is for 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's all the concrete. Then it goes into the pictorial, which is more like what I just showed you with 5 hands, 5 fingers, or laying 5 things out. But we often, after first, second grade, we skip that part, and we don't do it for very long. And there's a lot to it. So we're going to talk about number talks in this, and how number talks goes back and picks up this pictorial part of number sense that we often rush through, or we don't do well for as many years as we should. And then there's the abstract, which is actually the problem, 25 times 3. And we're really good at that. So we're going to go back and talk about, in number talks, how do we reinforce that pictorial part of number sense? So what are number talks? Well, number talks have to do with numbers, and it often has to do with talking. Your students need to do more than just pencil and paper with math. They need to be able to talk about what's happening in their brain when they're doing certain things with numbers. Because my teaching long ago was, there was one way to do everything, and that's what we taught the students, and everybody had to do that. But my brain didn't think that way when I was a young girl. And so as I've learned about number talks, I have thought, wow, if my teacher had known this, math would have been much more pleasurable for me, because I thought about numbers differently than the students who just pick it up fast and move along. So it's the first 5 to 10 minutes of class every day, at least 3 times a week. If you can't get it in every day, you just don't want to do it once a week or once in a while. It doesn't need to be one of those things like, I can't think of what else to do, so I'll do a number talk. No, you do it regularly. It doesn't have to be the same concept you're doing in math class. So if on Monday your math class is introducing 2-digit times 1-digit multiplication, your number talk might be on counting by 5s. But that's okay, because it is just constantly making that foundation for math and for number sense stronger, no matter what it is you're doing. And it is a review again, number sense. And it gives strong math students even new ways to think about math, and it will fill in the gaps for the struggling math students. So what do you do for number talks? So for a number talk, there's not a workbook. I am going to provide you with what I made up as something you can kind of follow for math talks or for number talks. But really, you're just thinking of your objective. Maybe it's rote counting. That's where we're all going to start, is rote counting. Maybe it's subitizing numbers. Some people say subitizing. We'll talk about that later. But that's when you can just see a number, like 5 on a dice. You don't count the 5. You know that when there's a dot here, 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 and one in the middle, that's a 5. That's what subitizing is, that you can just see something and know what it is. Maybe it's comparing numbers, but come up with your objective and then decide, what activity are we going to do today to practice rote counting? And so the paper I give you will give you some ideas. I'm going to continue sending you more things on it, but you will eventually, as you're doing this, come up with more. Go back to your test. Does your test that you give the students say 35 blank 37? What goes here? Oh, that could be a number talk. Let's spend several days doing 1 or 2 of those every day. So every day you're going to do that activity. You're going to choose your objective. You're going to do an activity, and then you're going to come back to it. That's the great thing about number talks. You can do it on whatever you want. You might try to follow an objective for several days, but feel free to come back and do it again someday. It's just whatever you want to talk about with numbers that day. So let's do a quick number talk for counting. With counting, you're not going to have the students do quite as much talking sometimes because it's basically just practicing counting. This is what the younger teachers do all the time. The students just count, and sometimes if you have older students, you might do it at the beginning, maybe do it a couple times. Are you sure everyone got it? Maybe not. So number talks, kind of breaking that counting up and doing it lots and lots and lots of days. Now, counting can be really monotonous and boring for you and the students, so maybe finding a few ways to do it. So one day, my number talk might be with movement, clapping as we say it, or tapping our shoulders or our nose or stomping our feet, maybe doing 10 to here, we get to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, however you want to do it, but put a movement with it. Putting kids in a circle, students in a circle, maybe a group of 8 students, so there'd be several groups, and have them just count. I say 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you have to set up those classroom management parameters. Like you can't give the answer to someone. If they get stuck, maybe assign a leader. If they ask the leader for help, the leader can give it to them. I like to do partners. I just say 1, you say 2, 3, 4. So those can be number talks for days. Just going up to 50, or you'll notice the children often have trouble, even in your 5th and 6th grade, some of them will have trouble going from 29 to 30. They do fine, 26, 27, 28, 29, and they don't know what that next one is. So practicing those. And then when you're doing partners or circle, you don't have to start with 1. Once they get really good at it, start with another one. Count on is kind of that, giving a number and counting on from there. Can I start at 12 and go on from there? That's really important later when you get into addition and it's 12 plus 8. They don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and count to 12. They can say 12 and count on 8 more. Can they do that? Do it as a 3 to 5 minute number talk. So this could cover you for weeks of doing this. A couple of other things that you can do, I'm going to move over here, is practice writing them, spelling them. So practice writing the word 30. Once they know 1 through 9, then all they have to learn is the 10. And so that would help them. So my number talk might be writing a number on the board, writing the number 39, and then asking the students, how would you spell it? Let's count to 39, what comes after 39, and just do a lot of activities with just the number 39. But spelling would be a good one. These are good. You write this on the board, 57, blank, 59. What goes here? A number talk would be similar to saying, well, how did you know it was 58? One student might say, well, I just counted 57, 58, 59. That's really good. How many of you, the rest of you thought of that, use that method? Is there another method? Someone might say, well, there's a 5 in the tens place, and the ones go 7, 8, 9. That's right. So when you start hearing these varieties of ways that the students thought of it, it might trigger something in a student's brain. You could even give them a longer line. So these are lots of number talks for counting.